we're going to start with Manchester United. Because here's the thing. It's not that they beat Brighton. It's that actually they look good. Pogba and Bruno together looks good. And then you've got, the speedsters up front. And I get the sense of fragility in can it last, but they're right there. They're neck and neck with Wolves in fifth place.
You're right. I think it's looking very good for them. Unbeaten in 15 all competition. If before the pandemic and after the pandemic, it feels like they found the right formula in terms of balancing the team, and that 4-2-3-1 works really well. Defensively, I think they're still quite solid. I think you can get an upgrade on Lindelof, no problem, and they might sign a better centre back in the summer. You might get an upgrade on Luke Shaw at left back. You've got Brandon Williams, but again, this is maybe a position that you could look at in the summer. But the other positions, even Matic seems to be reborn. That pass on the third goal is absolutely fantastic. But in terms of what he just has to do, and again, it was Brighton, so it might be different in tougher games against better players. But I thought he was so disciplined. I thought he covered very well Pogba. He was just that screen in front of the back four, just a pure holding midfielder role where you get the ball and you pass it to the ones who can create. And then we get down to Bruno and Pogba, who can create so much. And I think the difference for me with Pogba is that why is he so happy and why is he even thinking about staying is because suddenly the burden of being the creative player, the creative touch is not just on him. You've got Bruno Fernandes who can do that. You've got Marcus Rashford who can do that. You've got your two fullbacks, and we saw Wan-Bissaka.
You're going to sell me on Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw as taking their part of the creative burden?
No, but listen to me. They will never be able to cross the ball, especially Wan-Bissaka, like Carvajal or Dani Alves. However, just by taking a position quite high on the pitch, you become another option, even if they don't give you the ball. And Wan-Bissaka was not really involved in any of the goals, but just him being quite high on the pitch for the opposition, this is someone you need to keep an eye on, and then that creates more space for other players. I just think that right now, and it might not last, and they will have tougher games than the Sheffield United one where they went down to 10 men, the Brighton game. But I think there's something there growing clearly, and then you look at Mason Greenwood, and I think the kid is 18, and if he plays with so much freedom, it's quite remarkable.
Okay, but the revival predates the return of Paul Pogba. Now, you want to big up Paul Pogba, your boy, and I love Paul as well, but it was 15 games, and the revival kind of started before he came back.
Yeah.
And obviously you got a Bruno Fernandes lift there, I think, pretty evidently. Somebody wrote today that he's the most transformative signing that United have had since Eric Cantona, which I don't know. I haven't gone back through all their signings, but he certainly had a big boost.
Call.
What I wonder about though is when you talk about those attacking players, that front three. Can you sustain the midfield of Pogba, Fernandes, and the front three against a certain quality of opposition? That's one question I think that they certainly want to address this summer. And the other question is, Rashford, I can see how he gets better. But, Martial by this stage is in mid-career, right? Have we seen?
24.
He's 24. Yeah. What's he gonna do? Play until he's 50, right? But I'm saying he's not a kid.
Yeah. But it's not like if he was 31.
Does he have another level? Is he going to become the player that when they signed him for that enormous amount of money? Is he on that trajectory or no? Probably not. Probably this is what he is, right?
Yeah, but if he gets you 25 goals a season, he's on 19 now or 20, I think. So you would go and sign a better striker. As Solskjaer this week said, they don't have the divine right to start or believe that they will start every game, Rashford and Martial. So you go out and you sign a better striker.
I think you have to sign another striker or another front man in the summer, whichever way you want to choose it, right? Because obviously Rashford can play center forward. He can also play on the wing. It depends how you want to use him. I like the idea of having also different options. I think the way Bruno Fernandes plays, I don't think it's written in stone that you have to play with wingers. If they end up with more attacking fullbacks somehow, I think you can easily switch to a diamond. You might want to switch to a diamond, perhaps, if you get the right players for it, right? But which I think would actually probably benefit Pogba even more. But obviously, you're talking about overhauling.
But in those big games you were mentioning earlier, that could be an option.
But this is okay, and this was also the week in which it was reported that they'd be interested in Sancho, but they couldn't spend more than 50 mil, or they wouldn't.
Yeah, but come on, we know that's not true.
Well, if you did get Sancho, hypothetically, what would it look like?
You play Sancho for Greenwood, so you keep the 4-2-3-1. You play. I mean, again, Sancho fits that versatility that you were mentioning. You can play in a 3-4-3 with Sancho as a right winger. You can play in a 4-3-3 with Sancho as a right winger. You could do many things tactically if you've got Sancho. I just think that what Sancho will bring you on top of everything is the ability to have even another sort of plan, in the sense that you're very good counter-attacking, as we saw on the third goal against Brighton. You can have the ball a lot and the possession because you've got Pogba and Bruno in your team, and they're enough to control the game and the tempo.
You are comfortable in some possession at that point. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And then if you've got
you
Sancho,
have Maguire who can pass a little bit out of the back.
And if you've got Sancho in the games that you're maybe not as good, or you're struggling, or the opposition is better than you, Sancho can make the difference in one move. He can dribble past three people, cross, shoot, whatever, and that kind of game winner that Greenwood might become, and we saw in the first goal, he takes on two players, scored a great goal on his own. I think Sancho will give you a lot of consistency in that style. It's like, wow. If you add Sancho to that team, I think, and then strengthen, I still think, at the back, you look very strong.
Enough to narrow the gap with Liverpool and City? I mean, it would take more than Sancho, right?
Yeah.
You agree? It would take a centre back, because I like Maguire as a person, but from what I can tell, but it's not as if he's Beckenbauer, and whoever plays alongside him, I don't think is going to be on a level of the very top people. And I don't know that Solskjaer is not, and will probably never be, a guru type manager. He doesn't mean he can't be successful with the right structure around him. And obviously, I think the left back position needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I also wonder, going forward, if Wan-Bissaka at right back becomes a problem, because he's a central defender playing right back, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if then maybe longer term you don't think, as you suggested earlier, maybe a back three.
Yeah, maybe.
But
then the same issue is there. Who do you play a right wing back?
Yeah.
Do you play Wan-Bissaka? Again, but maybe
they could have signed Hakimi.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
That would have been your answer.
Yeah, but I just think compared to
Hakimi at right back, Chilwell at left back, a back three of Wan-Bissaka, Koulibaly, and Maguire, right?
Yeah.
Pogba, Matic, Bruno can play on the wing, I guess. Or no, 3-4-1-2. Bruno in the hole, and then Rashford. But there's no room for Sancho then. It's tough, man.
It's tough.
It's tough to figure this out.
It's like I say, then you have so many options, and then that's the versatility that you were looking for. But just to finish, if you look where they were 18 months ago, and we've been very critical of Ed Woodward, and I don't think Ed Woodward should take any credit for where they are now at all. But they look in a much better shape. You could be far more optimistic about them. Even with Solskjaer as manager, who we've criticised a lot as well, than they were 18 months ago.
Yeah. Amazing what Rashford and Pogba, your two best players, being fit.
And Bruno Fernandes as well.
And Bruno Fernandes coming in. Amazing how that turns things around.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.